Warning: this is a hunting video to share the experience with like-minded people, and animals will be harvested. Do not watch if likely offended.
Hi, I'm Jason from Swole Guys with Crossbows,
And I'm Greg.
and week 2, it sucked. The short answer is it sucked.
One thing is where we hunt our whitetail, I basically neglected that site this year because I was baiting bear and everything. So, of course, with the cost of bait and everything, I wasn't putting out any food for the deer or anything. And we didn't go in there at all. Like, I was not out there. I was not worried about the whitetail at all. But then, with the season opening 2 weeks early, I got in there late. And we went in and we weed whacked and we cleared our shooting lanes and stuff when we started to bait. Because we are allowed to bait in Saskatchewan. Like I said, the weather the first few days didn't cooperate, but also when we were in there in the blind, because they knew we were there, there was a stronger presence of our scent. And like, I know a lot of guys will say, always descent when you're going in to put your bait out and all that. Well, if you're hunting your own property, deer get used to your scent, and I like to leave my scent. And the thing is when we were going in there last week at the beginning, they weren't coming out when we were there. We weren't seeing them. We were seeing the fawns, but fawns are not very smart, and they were coming out. But any of the mature deer were staying hidden until dark. So what I did, one of my tricks is I left 2 of our t-shirts, dirty t-shirts, in the blind. That way they get used to our scent being there all the time, and they want to come and feed, so they start coming out. So yeah, and that worked.
It did work.
We went in, and finally the deer started to come in, even though we were in the blind and our scent was there. And so Scar and her fawns came in, and we let her feed for a bit, and she walked away. And sure enough, that nice young buck came strolling in, and that's where the problems began.
That's where happened. That's where the problems began, and we'll cover that in a little bit.
Yeah, like we ended up, Jason was on the bow first, and I had a beautiful camera shot, which you'll see later in this video.
I had a good camera shot from the bow too.
Yeah, and but the thing is he shot back. But there are some things with that new system he's got on there with that Omega sight. It's different way you hold the bow. It's very easy to pull a shot.
Yes, and I did.
Yeah, and he pulled that shot pretty bad. But yeah, the thing is like I specify, like, if you're gonna go start baiting, like if you can bait, and even if it's your own property, you want to get in there a good month
Or
early,
more.
or more even, and be in there, like go in there and walk around, like around the bait area. And another thing that's has happened is we went in looking for that young buck.
Yeah.
And we walked through the bush all through where we don't usually go, and that's put the deer totally nocturnal again.
Yep.
So now we're waiting for them. The bears have basically shut off. I know I've heard before, like this is my first year baiting my own bear, but they say in the fall, bears want good bait.
Yeah.
Like it's not as easy. In the spring, they're hungry. They come out of their dens and they're going to come to the smell of grease and everything right away. And what's happened now is we had a bear come in. He came in. He fed. Actually went in the north site, and then he went down to the south site. He knocked the barrels over, but he hasn't been back. And he was a big, beautiful boar, but he hasn't been back. And no other bears have come in. So
Yeah.
I don't know if I have to try to up my bait a bit. Like I've been looking around to find donuts and stuff to put out there, because all I've been using is basically oats and corn and a bit of dog food and grease, and they just don't seem to be coming to that now. Like
Not at the moment.
so I've been saving table scraps and that, but that's kind of where we're at right now. We're just waiting for these animals to start showing up. I'm sure the bears will come, but they just aren't in there. It was the same in the spring. It took them a couple of weeks to start coming in regularly.
Yep.
And then also with the deer, we're just waiting for them to get comfortable again so they're not totally nocturnal, because there's no sense in us going out there and disturbing them and spooking them up more when they're already on alert. And so we continued to bait, and we're just waiting. Fortunately, we got a month and a half yet, or a little over a month and a half yet, to fill our tags.
Yes.
So yeah, the beginning of this hunt has not been the way we expected
No.
or
Or wanted.
well, in past years it's
Yeah.
been much better too.
Yes.
Like opening day, we had our first deer, and I think a week, 5 days after that, Jason had his deer
Yeah.
tag filled and that.
Yep.
But that's where we're at right now.
And the systems are working the way we want. It's the person using the system that didn't. I didn't practice enough this summer. I just didn't. I spent a lot of time with that sight, but I never practiced shooting with it.
Yeah.
And I really regret that.
Well, yeah, a poor shot, but it happens.
Yeah.
He was a little quick on the trigger maybe, because he was following the deer in, and then as soon as the deer stopped, basically, he was on the trigger. And he might, maybe he should have took a couple more seconds to make sure he was steadier or whatever.
Yep.
But the thing is, it happens, and it's sad
Yeah.
because we did not recover that deer.
No,
Sadly.
first deer we've ever lost.
But anyways, you stay with us, and I'm sure it's going to be an exciting season.
It's gotta get better.
We're going to fill these tags.
Yes,
it
we
just
are.
might take us a little while,
Yeah.
but we'll keep you updated.
Anyway, follow us. Please like, share, and subscribe, as we always say. Two old guys are working their butts off. Oh, and one thing I want to add, because the camera guy had the camera in another location, we had a nice cow, elk, and calf go across the field and didn't get any footage of it.
Yeah.
And,
And-
it's that kind of year.
And sadly, elk is all draw here, and we don't have any elk tags.
No, but it would have
won't
been
be any
nice to
elks
get
going
pictures.
down. And same with the moose, didn't get drawn for
Yeah.
moose again. So,
Yeah.
But yes, Saskatchewan is abundant with wildlife. It's actually a hunting heaven.
Yeah.
If you ever get a chance to come up and hunt Saskatchewan, I'd recommend it. You'll
You bet.
really enjoy it. We were just watching the snow geese this morning, just
Yeah.
hundreds of them flying right over my yard here.
Yeah.
But
So anyway, take care. Keep following. We will get successful eventually. So Monday night, our forked buck came in, exactly the buck I was looking for, and unfortunately, I placed a shot 5 inches left, just behind the rib cage, and we have never recovered that deer. Now, it was total shooter error. We were out here today, and I've got footage of the shooting that we did. And with this Omega sight, I should have practiced more. I am just heartsick because I didn't. And the reason I say that is it's a totally different sight picture. It's a very different sight picture. And even when we came out here today, we took, 8 shots, and only until the last 2 did I get it figured out to like I was right, and then I was left, and it was only the last few shots that I was dead on the target. So, and it took me that long to figure out exactly the sight picture. You're holding your head different. You're holding your, it's different than using a scope. And I just got stung. Isn't that nice? In the ear. Oh well. I used to be a bee farmer, so I'm not really worried about stings. So anyway, that's the update, and our equipment worked as we wanted it to. We've got great footage of a horrible shot that I made, and I am just heartsick over that.
And here are some target shots that Jason took with that new sight on there. And you can see at the beginning he's kind of all over the place, but eventually he does get a consistent group. Uh, so I thought I would throw this in so you could see what was going on. Well, we got out into the deer blind around 4 o'clock, and around 6 p.m., one of the ponds showed up. This is the little brother, I think. You can see his little buttons there. But we aren't sure where Mom is. And then, over to the right, I notice some movement. And here she comes. We call her Scar. And you'll see why shortly here. She's around last year too, and she had fawns last year. So I was surprised to see she had fawns again this year. She's coming in slow. But she is coming in. Before she wasn't coming in at all. The fawns would show up and we wouldn't see her. She'd be off in the bushes somewhere. But as I said, we left a couple of dirty t-shirts out there, so our scent has been present, and she's been eating with no pressure. And there's why we call her Scar. On her side, we aren't sure what happened to her, but she's got a big scar. And on the other side, she's got two scars. We wondered if she maybe got tangled up in a fence at some point in her life. Here she's having a little stare down with me. She's looking right in the window at me and she's watching, but I'm not moving. Neither is Jason. He's waiting. But since she's got those little fawns this year again, we're giving her a pass anyways. And if you look at the bushes to the left there a bit, you can see the other fawn. She's got two. She's got a brother and a sister. But she comes in and she feeds a little bit on the corn. I'm moving very slowly with the camera. And it's not just her, those fawns are watching too. You don't want to worry any of them, the next thing you know, they're all gone. But it's nice to see them come in. Even if you don't get a shot at the deer you're looking for, it's nice to watch them and study their behavior, see them. They feed for a little bit, and then she turns and away she goes. There you can see those scars on her side again too. And fawns don't follow right away, but they do go with her. And she just wanders on over and disappears back into the brush. It's pretty thick out there right now. And then right after they leave, And walks this beautiful young fellow. And he is a shooter.
What's that? We 7:10 tonight. Our little buck came in, and we are about to go see if we have blood on the arrow.
Hopefully you drilled him.
I'm pretty sure I did, but we're gonna go check. There it is. Oh yes.
Oh yeah, lots of blood. Lots of blood on that baby.
Yeah, lots of blood on that lumen rock. Not any blood yet.
There's more blood here. There's more blood in here. See it?
Yep.
More blood in here. More blood here. Which way did he go? Did he go that way?
No, he went in there.
He went in there.
He stood right here.
There's a bunch of little drops.
This is where he was standing.
There's a blood drop. Not a lot of blood, but he's bleeding. Lots of blood. Ouch, ouch, ouch. These drops. There's a little blood here. There's more blood yet. He went this way.
So I'm wondering. Nothing there. Okay.
You can see as we tracked the blood trail, it led us into the very thick and dense bush, and we searched well into the dark hours, marking the trail with pieces of paper, but gave up after about 3 hours of trying to basically literally crawl through the brush, and decided to come back at first light the next day. We picked up the trail again at our last marker, but unfortunately the trail led us almost in a circle and we lost sign of the blood. We tried to grid search through the dense underbrush for about 8 hours, but unfortunately we never were able to find this buck.
Well, we started this channel. I decided it was going to be, we weren't just going to show you our successful hunts. And that's the reality of hunting. Not every hunt turns out the way you want it to, and not everyone is successful. And sometimes you don't have a recovery. And that's just the way it goes. But the thing is don't be discouraged, and please like, share, and subscribe, and stick with us. This is the Real Hunting Channel.